All right, we are live. Hey everyone. So welcome. I am Nikki Connor and I am the CEO of Package to Profit, where we help insurance agents with being more efficient and increasing their sales and operations. And so this is our very first Scale Talks Live, and I am so excited to have it. We will be meeting every week, normally on Wednesday. We had to move it today because of me not feeling very well yesterday. So I'm sorry for those that were registered to be yesterday. But today we're meeting with Nina, and I wanted to talk to you about our topic is titled The Power of Trust, Elevating the insurance sales through integrity. And this is so vital. As I was preparing for this series, I was scrolling on Facebook one night and I had saw this story that I could not believe, where Nina was just sharing her story, and I'll let her share a little bit in everything, the full context in a minute. But she was just sharing her story about a poor experience she had with an insurance agency owner. She is out of Florida, and I started doing my research and I was like, well, how often is this happening? And this is actually happening more times than not, where in the industry it has become very competitive. So it has became very strategic on how you get business, which is also why I'm in the position that I'm in, because a lot of, especially here in California, a lot of insurance agents are having to be more strategic on how they get their business. Some of them, like companies like State Farm that we work with, are not able to write fire policies anymore. And so other companies are able to, are able to write the policies. So now they're picking up their business. And so there's a strategic way that you have to go about business when, like State Farm, for instance, who was fire was one of like their main bread and butters. And, real estate agents were their main source of ways for them to actually get business. So now you have to get strategic on how you are going to write these policies and increase your PNCs. So like your auto, your home, and your life, right? And so Nina was one of the ones that was affected by those trying to get over and figure out how they were going to increase their policies. And so I really just wanted to have a candid conversation of her sharing her story, and we go back and forth. And if you have questions, go ahead and drop them below in the chat, and we will definitely answer them. And we're looking forward to having this conversation. So, Nina, go ahead and take it away and share about you.
Thank you so much, Nikki. Yeah, I'm very passionate about sharing this because I first believe in great customer service. If you're a person in business, whether you're an entrepreneur or working for a company, you essentially become part of the brand. You become part of the image, and the things that you do in your company are going to reflect back your behavior and things like that. So I bought my house in August. We closed on August in 2022 in Orlando. And the market here is very competitive. Okay. There are insurance agencies pulling out of Florida left and right. There also is high fraud here with roof claims and all kinds of things. So I already knew the market was going to be a little bit crazy. So my policy started in August. It was supposed to end in August. What happened is my current broker was dropping a particular company. So when they drop a company, you get dropped too. So I got dropped. I got a notice, and so I had to search for a new company. So I'm the type of person that's very type A and proactive. I said, let me just see what the price ranges are like. Since we closed, we weren't sure what the market was going to look like as far as pricing. I've been hearing claims of thousands of dollars, and so I wasn't sure. So I had contacted a particular agency that I knew was going to stay with the company that I currently had. I didn't necessarily want to switch if I was already a customer. So I contacted them online, never spoke on the phone, online through their, forms. They ended up emailing me back. I gave them my declarations page. They looked over it and tried to match it apples for apples. The only difference is the policy was going to increase about $150. And to me, that was great because I have people on my same street that were getting quotes for thousands of dollars more. So for it to only increase $150, I thought that was a good deal. So my last interaction before the incident, I literally just said, "This looks good. Are there any other discounts? I'm a military mom. Are there any other things that I could access to save some money?" The individual replied, "No, I gave you the best deal possible." That was the last email I sent. Next thing you know, I get an email that says, "Hi, I changed your policy. I contacted your mortgage agency. I contacted everyone and updated it. And here's your new premium, your new plan." What? What do you mean you changed it? I never
I
gave
think what
authorization.
caught me what your story was, I think you said that they rolled it into your mortgage too, right?
Yeah, so let me get to that part. So yeah, so I immediately picked up the phone and said, "Hey, I did not ask you to do that. I was only asking about discounts. I'm still in my shopping window to figure out what company I want to go with or stay with. I need you to change all of this and put it back the way that you found it because I didn't ask you to do this." So they apologized profusely. "Oh, I'm going to do it. I'll just void everything out. It's no problem. I'll void it out." So they said they voided it out, sent me an email that they did. 30 days later, I get a letter in the mail from my lender stating they had paid this new policy, while I also had my current policy. So now I have two policies active at the same time. And then an additional, I think it was like almost $1,900 was paid out of my escrow for this new policy. This individual had not voided anything out, had not put things back the way they were supposed to. I felt completely violated and taken advantage of in that moment. It was just an absolute mess. So I ended up contacting the insurance company first, and I told them the situation of what happened. Luckily, they were actually able to fix everything since I was a current customer. They canceled out the current policy. They issued me a refund, which I had to wait a couple weeks for in the mail, and then they kept the new policy. The problem that I had in that moment is that my money felt like it was being stolen from me because this was like a forced sale. I didn't ask for this, yet I was being forced to be in this position to take this individual's business, and that just isn't right at all. So, yeah, in a nutshell, that's what happened. But I think the worst part is like when I ended up calling the person that had, kind of done me wrong, their demeanor, the derogatory nature in which they were speaking to me. "Well, there's nothing I can do. It's an honest mistake." A mistake is a misspelling on a paper. A mistake is forgetting the email. A mistake is not changing someone's policy without authorization, contacting all the important parties, telling someone that you fixed it and then not, and then causing them the financial hardship that they caused me a month later. So, yeah, the trust factor had been broken. The financial
Yeah.
angle of me being in this position of having to pay out and then worry about my escrow going up and then having to make that up. Like there was just a lot of things that I was worried about in that moment. So, yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with me. And excuse me. I briefly kind of skipped over
Yeah.
um who you are. So share a little bit about you and what you do, and I have questions that kind of tie into that too.
Yeah. So by trade, I'm a creative strategist. I've been in the advertising, marketing, sales business for over 20 years, working in publishing. I've worked with best-selling authors. I've done design and marketing for lots of companies like HMH and Scholastic. And I have my own company called Travel Creators, and we teach entrepreneurs how to show up more powerfully online, how to increase their creative clarity, and to really incorporate immersive travel experiences into their business. That's what I do.
So you didn't just have your personal policy, you had your business as well, right?
It was just my personal policy. Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't my business, but luckily, I didn't go forward with other things. And you have to think about it like, had this individual done the right thing, they could have gained further business from me, right? But
Right.
they broke down the trust in wanting to fulfill their own needs over that of the customer. And that just goes against marketing 101. That's not something that you do
Mhm.
if you want to retain it. And then if you think about it, like, you know, I'm an influencer. I'm someone that works with entrepreneurs. They didn't know that, But imagine if someone with a larger audience also, you have to think about people of influence nowadays. One interaction can literally make or break your business if you wrong the wrong person. So I don't think they
And
thought about that.
And as insurance agents too, just so you guys know, if you're a new insurance agency owner, welcome to Scale Talks Live. And if you're finding this valuable, go ahead and hashtag replay and share it with someone or tag someone. But just so you know, most insurance agents from year to year have about a 15% retention rate. And it's pretty low because it's so high in competitiveness, which is another reason why I work really hard with insurance agencies to increase that. So I have like one of my clients right now, we just increased them to 85% retention, and that's unheard of in their company industry. So much so that they are actually being asked on like training. They were just asked from corporate on training other insurance agencies like how to increase their how to increase their retention, and they actually suggested me to be the trainer. But the biggest thing is like you already have that competitiveness of people are shopping around every year already,
Mhm.
right? And so it's already hard to retain your clients, so having that integrity to be able to in to increase the retention of the client that you already have does a disservice when you do lack of integrity, because now Nina, we'll talk about what she ended up doing and how this whole story unraveled. But
Right.
now she's telling other people, right? And so now other people are not wanting to go to you. Now other people are not wanting to work with you. And it's not always going to be the name of the person, but the name of the company,
Yep.
right? Like people associate it with the company. So now you're also hurting the company's brand as a whole as well.
Yeah.
Um, and so the next question that I had for you was, um, like, can we talk a little bit about like warning signs, right? Like, were there any warning signs that you may have missed before dealing with the agency? Like when you were on the phone with him, like he asked you certain questions that were kind of like a red flag, so that those watching who maybe not be insurance agency owners, but maybe they are potential clients shopping around, like what are some things that they should look for?
So looking back on it, I think the fact that it was just a digital interaction is part of where things may have gone wrong. We're so used to it nowadays, like these kind of quick responses. And I think the fact that the agent didn't take the opportunity to get a confirmation from me for moving forward is the biggest thing. Had we been on the phone, it may have been different. There may have been more clarity in the conversation, but that doesn't mean that they should just assume the sale, right? Like until you actually, hear from someone. So I would say like looking back on it, maybe that would have been, but because we didn't even really interact before he took action, I think that was the biggest thing. So what I would say is like, number one, you want to qualify your customer. That's number one. You want to make sure that what you have is what they need. You want to make sure you get confirmation from them that you should move forward. And then also, too, you have to educate them on the process, right? Okay, this is what I'm going to do next. These are what the steps are, right? Because if I had never done this before, I don't know what to think or what to assume or what the process is going to be, right? I had already gone through the process being a homeowner, but had this been my first policy, I hadn't closed on my house yet or whatever, and I'm shopping, this also puts a negative kind of taste in somebody's mouth who's brand new, and they may tell other people also. So you really have to think about the steps that you kind of walk your customer through before you take action on things that they want to do. So I think red flags would just be um, only interacting in a digital way and not picking up the phone, or them never, reaching out to you on the phone could be a reason why things could go wrong in the future.
Absolutely. And I was looking at my next question. Um, how did the agency's lack of integrity become apparent, and where were like the immediate consequences? So, um, I guess go into the next part of the story now.
Yeah. So I think part of it, the first thing was like not getting a real confirmation that things had been rectified, right? Like it was just a quick email back to me saying, okay, I fixed it. Well, where's the confirmation that you fixed it? Is there something that you can send me to let me know for sure? And I think once time had passed and then
Mm,
I had been told that things had been paid out, I sent him an email before I called him later, but he still didn't pick up the phone to let me know that he was working on it. I felt like I had to take matters into my own hands because the trust had been broken not once, but twice in the same incident because of what he did and then not rectifying the situation. So that kind of like broke things down for me as well. Um, so like those are two things to me that speak to integrity is like you want to be proactive in a situation, especially if it's your mistake and things are going wrong. You shouldn't wait for the customer to have to, you know, rectify things and make the calls and send the emails and all that kind of stuff. Like make sure that you follow through. And he didn't do that. And that's what also created a larger issue. So, I think for me, the biggest thing that kind of stuck out is just deflecting away from the responsibility in the conversation that I had with him, acting like it was an honest mistake
lack of
versus
ownership.
exactly the lack of ownership. This was not a mistake. It just wasn't. And to call it a mistake is egregious. Like this was a deliberate thing. You don't just go and change somebody's policy mistakenly. That
Right.
takes many steps and many actions. That's not a mistake, because a mistake is like I clicked something wrong. Like this was not a mistake. And so the lack of ownership to me, I think, was the biggest part of why I didn't want to continue business. So what I ended up doing, kind of getting my last laugh, because I was so furious. Not only I was furious about the situation, but the lack of ownership, the derogatory nature in which he was speaking to me. My husband was actually in the background listening. It's always good to have a witness too. So
Hey, hey.
he's in the background listening, and he's like getting so mad. He's like ready to curse this guy out, because he's hearing the misogyny also in his tone. So there's many layers to how this situation just unfolded in a terrible way in his actions. But the way that I got the last laugh was I ended up going through the agency, like the actual brand of the insurance, so not just the local office, but the brand. And I contacted them and said, I want to move my business and my sale to another agent. And I explained to them what happened. So they actually did an agent of record change. I picked another agency, hadn't even met the other agency. I was just so ready to pull my business away after being forced in this situation. Picked
Right.
another agent, just off the paper, just off the web. And yeah, we ended up moving the entire sale. So after all of that, they didn't even get the credit in the commission because I had moved my business to a whole nother office. And that just got fine. It took a couple of weeks. And at first they didn't want to do it, but we did do an agent of record change and all of that. And I have a new agency within the same brand. And she reached out to me, was very, apologetic, even on his behalf. And so she's taken the necessary steps to try to make things right, in their fault. So that was good.
Yeah. Thank you. And then also too, um, it's great that you found a woman, so another woman business to actually support. So that's
Yes, she's a
awesome.
person of color and woman. Yes.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Did you know that when you selected her that she was a woman of color, or it was just like,
I had an inclination by the name,
oh,
the
okay.
last name. So
Well,
that
the
that
name
kind of
does us
helped.
good, right?
Yeah, the name kind of helped a little bit. And, it wasn't that I was just like, "Oh, let me just go out and find a woman." It was like, "Okay, I'm gonna try something different because this was my experience. This person did not treat me well." So it's like, let me try something else. And then, the icing is that I am supporting a woman business, as family business. So that at least made me feel better to at least move my dollars into a place where I could be appreciated more.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that with me. And I'm curious as to how has the agency's actions impacted you personally and professionally. I know we're both in business, we're both in marketing. And I feel like those of us who wear our heart on our sleeve and, customer service is very important to us. Um, we tend to take these and internalize these type of incidents a little bit differently. So I'm just curious, has this, affected you or changed the way that you show up personally and professionally?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important when you're in business and you're an influencer or at least somebody of influence that you amplify wrongdoing. It's really important that we take the necessary steps, not to defame another business, but to really bring to light our personal experience because it may help somebody else. So I turn to social media really just to make people aware because I wasn't aware that something like this could happen. I didn't even know people could make changes without, you really giving them authorization to do so. So I thought it was really important for me to do that. I think moving forward, I will make sure that I get confirmation or at least have things in writing or get on the phone with someone, to make sure. And then also if the person is not taking those steps to get the confirmation and reach out to me and really introduce themselves and take those necessary steps, like those are red flags that I'm now going to look for going forward. But then you have to think about the ripple effect, right? Like one bad actor can tarnish an entire industry's reputation. And anybody that's ever bought a house knows the process is already hard, right? Just
Right.
there. It's already
I'm going through
difficult.
it right now. We just
Right.
talked about
So
that.
already so many levels right there where you're having anxiety, you don't know who to trust. You're hoping people are going to show up and do the right thing. And then when they don't and they prove you wrong, then that makes you kind of move differently. Also, it can make you more distrusting of other businesses. So, like, there definitely is a ripple effect. But then I also think it's important to amplify the good actors, right? Like people who do the right thing, we need to know who they are. We need to speak up on their behalf. We need to amplify their voice and let them know, like, okay, this happened to me, but this person made it better. Or, this situation is coming out on top because of the fact that I'm dealing with someone with integrity, right? So, kind of sharing the lesson from both sides of like, this happened, but this is how I'm moving forward. And this is who can help you or who's doing a better job, basically. So, yeah, those are some things that I'm just thinking about going forward for sure.
Absolutely. And I just want to recap too, just in case it wasn't caught, because I always say it's not about what's taught, it's what's caught.
Yeah.
And so there's some 3 key points that you actually made that I feel like is valuable to insurance agencies or insurance agents. And one of the things is you said qualify the customer, right? And when it comes to qualifying the customer, is that you're making sure that they're a great fit for you and that you're a great fit for them. This is not just a transaction where you're just taking somebody's money. But what I mean by qualifying the customer is if you have a very good connection in the beginning and foundation of understanding of who they are, where they're headed, right? Like maybe Nina is going to start in real estate investing, right? Like if you are offering homeowners insurance, like that's good for you to know because then you know, okay, well, Nina's getting ready to buy a house in another property in 90 days. Let me make sure that I'm following up with her. Maybe let me have some touch points, in the meantime. So as you're qualifying, you're also finding a need for where you need to come in again to be able to service that client. And so that allows you to increase your retention rate right there, right off the bat. Just by doing this, you will double your business. Also, number 2, get confirmation that they want to move forward, right? Do a check-in, ask, how do you feel about this? And one of the things that I teach my agents when I'm training them is that it's not always about who has the best policy or who's has the best rate. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, our home insurance person that we ended up going through, it wasn't because they were cheaper. It was just because we felt like the person was knowledgeable. They took the time to explain things that others do not.
Yep.
And which leads me into number 3 is educate, educate, educate. Do not assume that just because Nina's going on to her second year with her homeowner's insurance policy that she understands things.
Yep.
right? The insurance industry is always changing. And so it's very important for you, number one, to be up to par on what changes are happening. And then number two, you need to just not assume that the homeowner knows it, right? Like you are the expert, position yourself as so, and provide the valuable information that she needs to continue to feel like she made a good choice in confiding in you with her dollars.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to just, reiterate that those are three key points that a lot of times agency owners, more so insurance agents that are, that don't necessarily have their office right away when they're getting in the business, that they don't really realize. And then also too, agency owners who've been in the business for a while sometimes forget to actually portray it, because once it becomes a habit, like it's something that you forget to teach, right? And that's one thing I found as I'm training, is that I'm bridging the gap, because the agency owner's been in the business for so long, and then they're bringing in new people and they forget about those important educational pieces for their team.
Yep. And these are all steps that you can take on social media to qualify your customer, to educate them, to have clarity in their needs. These are things that you can do very easily, and that's going to bring you more business. When you have that kind of content clarity, people are going to know, like, and trust you. And that's really important. That's going to kind of up your integrity factor. And then obviously, if you have testimonials and things like that, where people can kind of give you the clout that you walk the walk and you're doing the things that you are educating them on, then that's going to make your business look even better. So I think that those are really important things to kind of embed in your practice.
Absolutely. Um, let me see. Um, so that's pretty much all I had. We pretty much went into the other questions that I had, just just talking conversationally.
Yeah.
Um, but if any of you have any specific questions regarding this, you could definitely comment below. And we can definitely answer them. If they come in and we're not live and this is the recording, I will still take the time out to reply. So be sure to go ahead and comment. And then the other question that I had for Nina was, what piece of advice would you give our viewers about the importance of integrity in business?
So to me, integrity is one of the most important things that you can kind of embed in the culture, not just in your agents, in the way that you do your practice, how you deal with people, even in just your everyday life, right? Like you have to have a certain level of standard of excellence that you operate at. And that, if you do that, that is going to embed in everything that you do, from the type of customer service you do to the way that you find things for your customers' needs, how you're meeting their needs, qualifying them. And integrity should lead in the way that you do sales. It should lead in the way that you speak to your customer, right? Because you're going to go so much further when somebody trusts you than when they are questioning your integrity or whether you're going to do the things that you say that you're going to do. So to me, when you have integrity in your business, not only does it bring more business to you, but it's going to allow you to stay in business a lot longer, because the way that you show up and the way that you operate your business is going to drive that through the culture of your team. It's going to drive that through the way that you make decisions for your business. So to me, integrity is one of the most important things that you can install. It's something that needs to be practiced. It needs to be challenged. You need to question, like, are we doing things and operating in the best integrity of our business and the customer as well? We have to be customer forward, because you never know, if you wrong the wrong person, what that's going to mean long term and how that can hurt you and affect you, because you only get one opportunity to make a first impression. And so if you're not living in integrity, you don't have those standards, one day that could break your business, and that's not something that you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely want to say, because everything that and is UR systems too. Oh my gosh, I forgot that you love automation and systems too.
Yes,
So,
yes.
so some of the pieces that you're talking about when it comes to integrity, right?
Yeah.
It also comes to having consistent processes and a consistent client experience.
Mhm.
Whenever I think about if I am going to refer someone to an agent or whatever, I think about the experience that I have. I think about like, is it an easy process for me to just, get in contact with them or, schedule on their calendar, and like, what does that experience feel like? And so, being able to have those pieces of processes in your systems also shows up with having integrity also is important. Having your systems leads into the integrity part of your business too. So I just wanted to say that. So not just leading with your heart, leading with your passion, but also making sure that you care about the experience is what I was trying to say. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what your clients are feeling.
The onboarding, the customer experience. I mean, experiences, and this is why I'm in the business of experiences, because it is really everything that we do. It will literally determine whether or not someone moves forward with you, whether they refer people to you, if you're going to get repeat customer sales, right? When we create a very sound and delightful customer experience and customer process, that will speak volumes much further than paying for any type of advertising. So you also have to think about that as well.
Absolutely. Well, that is pretty much all I have for you today. And how can people stay connected with you? Ooh, excuse me. Oh, I almost made it through without coughing.
You're getting there. You're almost there. Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram at Nina Milan _. I'm also very active on Facebook. I do a lot of my business there, just a lot of connections. So facebook.com/re.nina. You can look up my business, Travel Creators, travelcreators.co. If you're an entrepreneur that really just feels stagnant in their business, their marketing, their visual confidence and clarity, these are things that we can help you with so that you can create the life and the business that you want and kind of make it seamless. And then I also do travel. So if you're interested in embedding travel into your business, then that's something that we can talk about. Like Nikki and I have been talking about clients that she has about kind of installing a travel component to expand.
And insurance.
And insurance. And just really embedding that travel component in the business. Experiences are the big business. That is what's coming because people don't want to just be behind a computer anymore. They want to be immersed. And so I'm finding that need is coming forward. So that's what I do. So that's how you can find me. So look me up and let's talk. We can have integrity talks all day long.
Right. And then also too, I will include Nina's information attached to the description. We're live on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook. So definitely check her out there. And then also to continue following us with ScaleTalks Live, go ahead and you're going to go to packageyourprofit.com and you're going to go /ScaleTalks. And then you'll also be able to get the replays in your own portal. So you don't have to go to social media. Once you sign up, it's a free weekly live information for insurance agents to where you can level up your game and be able to get the information that you need for your business to scale and grow.
Awesome.
All right. Again, I am Nikki Connor and I had Nina, it's Milan, right?
Yes.
Well, how do you say your husband's name? I've been wondering.
He says Mijan, like, because he's Puerto Rican, so he's got to add the accent. I just say Milan because then people don't butcher it. So
no, how do you say his first name?
Oh, Neftali.
Neftali. Oh, okay. I was like, oh, I don't want to murder his name. I love it though.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to share my story. I really appreciate it. And for all of you agents out there, just do the right thing. At the end of the day, do the right thing.
Absolutely. And thank you again for your time and see you later.
All right, thanks.
Okay, bye.